Stop putting raw eggshells in your garden and compost. I am going to teach you a hack to turn those kitchen scraps into a powerful, immediately bioavailable water-soluble calcium serum that triggers explosive plant growth and completely prevents blossom end rot and fruit cracking. If you have been tossing crushed eggshells around your tomato plants, you are probably noticing they just sit there, unchanged, season after season. Many gardeners believe they are feeding their crops calcium, but they do not understand the science of biomineralization. Today, we are breaking down why raw eggshells are chemically locked up, the precise chemistry of how to unlock them using organic vinegar, 3 target application scenarios to dramatically boost your yields, and the root cause soil fixes that ensure your plants can actually use the minerals in your soil. To understand why raw eggshells fail, we have to look at their molecular structure. An eggshell is a highly ordered crystalline calcite matrix of calcium carbonate bound together by an intricate network of organic proteins. This natural ceramic is designed by the bird to resist weathering and physical pressure. Because calcium carbonate is virtually insoluble in neutral or alkaline water, placing raw shells into a typical garden soil with a pH of 6 to 7 does absolutely nothing.
The concentration of free hydrogen ions in the soil is far too low to break down this tough mineral protein shield. In fact, a raw eggshell can sit in your garden for 5 to 10 years without releasing any plant-available calcium. Furthermore, leaving the wet, raw inner membrane on the shells creates a serious biological hazard. This protein membrane attracts putrefying anaerobic bacteria and pests like flies and rodents. In wet soil pockets, this organic tissue decomposes through anaerobic pathways, raising the risk of cultivating harmful pathogens like salmonella right next to your crops. We can bypass these barriers entirely using thermal decomposition and acid-base chemistry to make water-soluble calcium, or WCA. The process is simple, but every step is governed by precise science. First, clean and crush your eggshells, and lightly roast them in a dry pan until they turn a light golden brown. This roasting does 2 critical things. It completely carbonizes the protein membrane to eliminate pathogen risks, and it physically fractures the calcite crystalline lattice. These heat-induced fractures create microfissures that exponentially increase the surface area available for extraction. Next, place the roasted shells in a glass jar and cover them with brown rice vinegar or apple cider vinegar at a 10-to-1 ratio, filling the jar only 2/3 full.
This headspace is absolutely critical because of the chemical reaction that immediately takes place. When the acetic acid in the vinegar hits the roasted calcium carbonate, it triggers a rapid neutralization reaction, converting the insoluble minerals into highly soluble calcium acetate, water, and carbon dioxide gas. The intense bubbling and foam you see is the physical release of carbon dioxide. If you fill the jar to the top, this expansion will force the liquid to overflow, creating a sticky, acidic mess. After about 1 week of fermentation with a breathable paper towel lid, the bubbling will stop entirely, and the shells will settle to the bottom. This silence signals that the solution has reached chemical equilibrium. Either the acetic acid is fully exhausted, or the liquid has reached its maximum holding capacity for dissolved calcium ions. At this point, you decant and strain the liquid into a sealed bottle, leaving you with a highly stable, bioavailable calcium serum. Now, let us look at when and how to deploy this serum. Unlike raw eggshells, calcium acetate is highly soluble and immediately recognized by leaf stomata and root hairs. WCA is commonly diluted at a standard rate of 1 to 1,000 in your gardening mixes, which is roughly 1 teaspoon or 5 milliliters per gallon of water. You can apply it either as a targeted foliar spray or a direct soil drench, depending on what your plants need. We target 3 specific biological scenarios. First, the transition phase, or plant puberty. As your crops transition from vegetative growth to reproductive flowering, they experience a massive physiological shift. Up to this point, they have used potassium and growth hormones to rapidly stretch their cells. During puberty, they must halt this stretching and begin dividing cells to form flowers and fruit. Calcium acts as a vital second messenger inside plant cells, signaling the crop to stop elongating and start dividing. Applying WCA at our standard 1 to 1,000 dilution at this exact moment reinforces the cell walls and helps the plant make this hormonal shift smoothly, reducing blossom drop and ensuring strong fruit development. Our second scenario targets environmental stress and heavy rains, especially after fruit size up and during heavy fruit load. Calcium is an extremely immobile element. It cannot travel through a plant's active nutrient transport tubes. Instead, it is pulled upward passively from the roots through the xylem by the evaporation of water from the leaves, a process called transpiration. However, after heavy summer rains or during high humidity, the air becomes saturated with moisture and transpiration stops.
Even if your soil is packed with calcium, your plants cannot pull it up, leading to sudden blossom and rot in tomatoes or fruit cracking in cherries. Foliar spraying WCA at our 1:1000 dilution bypasses this transpirational block entirely, delivering soluble calcium acetate directly to the fruit skin and growing tips. Conversely, applying WCA as a soil drench around the root zone helps replenish the soil solution and feeds the roots directly during the heavy fruit swell stage when demand is highest. Our third scenario is excess nitrogen correction. If you have over-fertilized with synthetic nitrogen, your plants will have soft, floppy, dark green leaves and long, weak stems that attract pests. Applying WCA will help the plant digest those excess nitrates, thickening the leaf cuticles and tightening up the stems to prevent physical collapse and insect damage. However, while WCA is incredibly powerful, you must avoid over-application. Flooding your plants with excessive calcium will trigger a chemical lockout of other essential minerals, particularly boron, potassium, and magnesium, causing stunted growth and leaf chlorosis. As an alternative to eggshells, you can react clean wood ash with vinegar to make WCA, but wood ash contains high levels of potassium and carbonate, which will drastically raise your soil's pH if not applied carefully.
For the best results, timing is key. Apply your WCA foliar spray in the evening on a dry day. As the temperature cools, overnight, dew keeps the calcium acetate dissolved on the leaf surface, allowing the stomata to slowly and continuously absorb the nutrient. Spraying during the hot midday sun can dry the solution too quickly, leaving salt crusts that can burn the foliage. But remember, a persistent calcium deficiency in your crops is rarely caused by a lack of calcium in the soil. It is almost always a symptom of soil compaction and biological inactivity. When soil is compacted, it lacks the oxygen roots need to respire, causing the root hairs to die back and lose their ability to absorb nutrients. To fix this permanently, focus on 4 biological steps. First, apply gypsum to compacted clay soil. Gypsum forces clay particles to push apart, flooding the soil with oxygen and decomposing anaerobic weed seeds. Second, address compaction by inoculating your soil with a drench of jadam microbial solution and humic acid to build stable soil crumbs. Third, transition away from synthetic nitrates that trigger weed growth and use biological nitrogen like fish hydrolysate. Fourth, maintain a living root cover or carbon mulch to protect your soil food web from UV damage. By converting your eggshells into bioavailable WCA and restoring your soil structure, you can stop wasting kitchen scraps and start cultivating a thriving, high-yielding garden. If you want to build stronger soil with us, hit that subscribe button and the bell. Let us regenerate our soil, one garden at a time.